If you've been watching the news, I'm sure you heard that interest rates have been coming down for the past few weeks now. What has that done for market activity here in our local market? Well, stay tuned because you don't want to miss November's market stats for our MLS, single-family residential homes. Stay tuned in this month market stats update. So I normally don't start the videos like this, but if you want to make sure you don't miss a market stats update that we do monthly, please make sure you like and subscribe, share this. This is just information for our MLS. It's only single family residential home that we're gathering this data for, but this is data. So real estate is on a lot of people's mind with what happened during the pandemic and where we're at now with interest rates. Whether you're thinking about buying or not, you feel the effects of it. If you're a renter, you've seen your rent go up. If you're renting a house, you may be worried about your landlord selling it. You have probably heard stories from someone at church that you work with, a friend, where the landlord sold their home and they didn't have a place to stay. So real estate affects you whether you are in the market or not. If you already own a home, you want to know what the market is doing, how homes are appreciating, what's going on with market value. So this information is important. So we're going to go into November. Once again, this is only single-family residential homes, no kind of townhouses, condos, not commercial property, not vacant land or anything like that. And this is for all of our MLS. So first off, we want to look at the number of transactions that we completed for the month of November. And we were only down 3%. I don't know if you recall November of 2022, but that's when interest rates went from like 4 to 5 and it hit the 6s and everything kind of came to a halt. And, starting in probably late July, August, going towards the last fourth quarter. So we are down 3%. We did 854 transactions in the month of November versus 879 that were done in 2022. But the good thing is we've still seen increase in home prices. Now, if you've been watching my market stats video, there were times, especially during the pandemic, where we would see 16%, 12% appreciation over a year. That's unsustainable. But where we're at now, this is a sustainable appreciation that we can anticipate, especially as we get into when we're talking about the inventory level. So we've seen appreciation up 4%. So last year, the average home price was $300,005. And right now, the average home price is $312,120. So we see a increase of 4%, and the average is anywhere between 4 and 7% on an annual basis that you can expect to see. So we're right in par with that. And then when you look at the number of listings that we have, so right now, currently, we're up 12% than where we were. So we're gaining in terms of inventory, and part of that is because the interest rates increase. So when the interest rates increase, that slimmed the buyer pool. So now we're not seeing as many buyers purchasing homes. So we're able to see inventory increase a little bit. So we're up 12%. So right now, 3,355 available listings versus last year, it was 2,999 for the month of November. So that's great that we're starting to see that. Now, if some of the indicators that we're looking at is the days on the market, so how long are properties sitting, and then what is the list to sell price ratio. So when we look at November, the days on the market was 39 days. That's the average. That is still super quick to sell a house. We're talking about just a little bit over a month. So gone are the days. Well, I don't want to say gone are the days, but the majority of houses are not sitting on the market for 90 days, 180 days, 3-6 months. So they are still going pretty quick if they're priced right. And once again, going back to the data, that's because there is not enough inventory. We still have a shortage of inventory on the market. So even though the buyer pool has shrunk some with the higher interest rate, there still are not enough available properties according to what is considered a balanced market. A balanced market is 6 months worth of inventory. Okay, and I'll show you a graph to show you where we're at right now with the market. So average days on the market for the month of November was 39. List to sell price ratio, not average. The list to sell price ratio was 98.59%. So they're still pretty much getting full price offers. But this was something that I saw that was very interesting. The average list price was $316,000. The average sale price, as we mentioned, was $312,000. So there's only a $4,000 difference between that list price to sale price, which is how we get the 98.59. But out of the properties that was not sold, the average list price was $341,000. So, oftentimes sellers, everybody wants the most for their property. No doubt. That's logical thinking. And trust me, as an agent, I want to sell your property for the most as well. But you see the harm in listing it too high. So at $341,000, that being the average list price of the properties that went unsold. So there's a direct correlation between a higher list price and being unsold. And that's why pricing is so critical. And then it's even more critical with the higher interest rate. Because now for that same $312,000, the monthly payment has increased for the buyer. So the price of the house didn't increase for the seller, but the price of the house increased for the buyer. So now hitting that sweet spot of pricing is so critical because we still got to think about appreciation and all these other factors that come into it. And when you compare that to what we did in October. So for October, the average days on the market was 35. So things are selling a little bit slower, obviously. And then the list price, the sale price was 98.73. And then for November, now we're at 98.59. And when you look at the average sold price, it was actually a little bit more in October. It was at 315. So even though we have appreciated for November, home prices have came down a little bit from where they were the average for October. And you generally see this in November and December just because of the daylight saving time, right? That happens in November or end of October, beginning of November, depending on when that weekend falls, And then, of course, once November hits, people start putting up their Christmas trees before Thanksgiving. So people's mindset, once daylight saving changes, it really kind of switches. And it's not so much on business now. It's really more on family, the holidays, preparing for the end of the year, getting their travel schedule. All these things are happening. And there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of distractions in November and December. So you generally see a little bit of dip. And then, of course, in general, we'll be able to track this. That kind of picks up once the first of the year happens. And when you compare it, once again, to where we were at November of last year, we already mentioned about the home price being $305,000. The average days on the market last year, guess what? 39. In November of 2022, the average days on the market was 39, and the average list to sell price was 98.2. So we're doing a little bit better than what we did last year in regards of home price, list to sell price ratio, and the days on the market are still the same. So here's this graph that shows you the absorption rate. So the absorption rate takes the total number of listings that we have available over the average of what's closed and how many months of inventory that we have. So if you see for the year, we've been up and down between 4 and 2 months worth of inventory. Remember, a balanced market is 6 months worth of inventory. And we've been up to 4. We started off at 4 in January of 2023. We stayed there for January and February. Then we dipped down in March, which is, really kind of starts that spring selling season, as some people call it, the pollen season here in South Carolina. So we dipped down to 2, then we kind of there. Now we dipped back up in October. We were at 4 months, and now we're back down to 3 months worth of inventory for November. So we still are in a seller's market. The 98% that we're seeing, 98.59% that we're seeing, sellers are still contributing more with rate buy down to make things more affordable for the buyer. They're also contributing more in terms of closing costs to make things more affordable for the buyers in the market and to keep, once again, the market flowing. It's like a river. You can never hit the same spot twice. So to keep the market flowing and to keep transactions going. Now, when you look at our chart here, which breaks it down by price point, so once again, obviously that 0 to 100,000 price point, we're going to consistently see this number decline. Foreclosures are coming into the market, but a traditional home now, because home prices have increased so much, so it's going to be hard to find properties, single family residential homes under $100,000, unless these are going to be foreclosures or distressed properties that are hitting the market. So, our average price point is right under that $300,000. So that's where you see the most activity, right? Between that $200,000 and $400,000, because we're kind of right there in the middle. $200,000 to $300,000 and 766 active listings right now, with 576 pending and 344 closed for the month of November. And then at 300 to 400. But you see, if you've been watching, we have more selections. During COVID, the pending and the closed were outpacing what was available. And think about the multiple offer situations that we were having. But now we're starting to see things getting more balanced, getting more inventory. And a lot of this that's helping out with that is new construction. New construction is coming to the market with a lot of properties, and that's kind of helping offset some of this. And as things continue to transpire, depending on what these rates do, we'll start to see a lot more activity. Because look, let's just face it, those rates were historical low rates. We won't see 3% again 9 times out of 10, And so it's a good time to sell when it's right for you. I'm not going to say always is a good time to sell, but depending on what's happening in your life, it's always a good time to sell if it's the right time for you to sell. You just got to be strategic with how you do it. Make sure you price it right. Make sure you do the things to attract the right buyer that's going to pay a market value for your house that you can accept. And then you'll be able to have a lot of equity. Most homeowners right now have a ton of equity in the house that you can use along with the house that you're purchasing, working with that seller, getting a rate buy down. But this is the market stats for the area that we're in. So we're starting to see activity pick up. We see that we still don't have enough inventory, although it is increasing. So whether you're a seller, it's still, if you are in a position where you need to sell, you still see that you have a leg up in terms of list to sell price, as well as you have equity in your home, and you see home prices are still appreciating. If you're a buyer, you see that inventory is picking up. That's going to give you more selections, more options. And then you also see that sellers are willing to contribute more in terms of closing costs, in terms of doing repairs, in terms of helping with the rate buy down to make it easier for you to purchase that home. So if you got any questions, if you're thinking about selling or buying or just got some real estate topics that you want to discuss, don't hesitate to give me a call. My name is Antonio Newton with the Newton Group at Coldwell Banker, and I love to be a resource for you so you can make sure that you have the proper information so you can make an educated decision for you and your family need. This is a very general view of our market. So I can do it by your neighborhood, specific zip code, house size, because everything matters, right? So if you're looking for a 1 level, that's going to be priced different than a 2 level. If you're looking for all brick, that's priced different than a vinyl. If you want to be in Blythewood versus Lexington, you want to be in 29072 versus 29073. So all those can have different ramifications and different effects on the market, which would create a different strategy for you as a home buyer or a home seller. So for a deeper dive, give me a call, 803-608-2597. And if you're not there yet, then continue to watch our YouTube channel, continue to watch the videos, continue to educate yourself on the home buying and home selling process. So that way, when you enter, when you're ready, you'll be educated, and then you'll have the benefit of a knowledgeable, experienced realtor. So that way you can make sure that you have a successful transaction for you and your family. And not only successful for where you're at right now, but also where you want to be 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and stay tuned for next month's Market Stats video.